Let me ask you a question. If something happened to you tonight, who would raise your children? Who would control your assets? And how long would your family be stuck in court trying to sort it all out? Most people assume that their family will figure it out. The law already has a plan for your family, and there's a good chance it's not the plan that you would choose. In this podcast series, I'm going to walk through the estate planning decisions people face at every stage of life, from raising young kids to building businesses, retirement, and long-term care. Because estate planning isn't something you do once and you're done. It's something that evolves as your life evolves. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joseph Michael Dickerson. I'm a board-certified estate planning and probate attorney here in Texas. And over the past years, I've helped hundreds of families navigate the estate planning and probate and asset protection process. I've written several books on these topics, including guides to the probate process and asset protection strategies. But the reason I'm creating this podcast series is simple. Most people only encounter estate planning when something has already gone wrong. They walk into my office after the death in the family, or after a dispute between siblings, or after discovering that the person who passed away never put any plan in place. And by that point, the options are very limited. So let's talk about what an estate plan actually is. When most people think about the phrase estate planning, they think it means writing a will. That's part of it, but it's only a small piece of the puzzle. The estate planning really answers several crucial questions. One is, who's going to make decisions if you're incapacitated? Who gets to raise your children? Who controls your assets? How do your assets transfer to the next generation or to the people you want them to go to? And how do you avoid unnecessary taxes, legal fees, and court involvement? My favorite is also avoiding drama. So let's talk about the reality of probate. A will does not avoid probate. I'm going to say that again. A will does not avoid probate. On the contrary, in many cases, a will actually guarantees probate. Probate is simply the legal process where the court validates a will and supervises the distribution of the assets. In Texas, probate is generally easier than in many other states because Texas allows independent administration. But even Texas probate still means hiring attorneys, filing court documents, which, by the way, can be public record, waiting for court timelines, not your timelines, and everything is open to the public and any nosy busybodies that want to know what's going on. So for many families, there are better ways to structure their affairs. The philosophy of this series is going to be that we're going to try to tell the clients that the different options they have to avoid probate. Here's something I tell my clients all the time. Estate planning is not about death. It's about control. Control over who raises your children, over who manages your finances, who is going to make those healthcare decisions for you when you aren't in the capacity to make those decisions, and who's going to receive all the things that you have worked your entire life to build. Without planning, these decisions may default to the Texas rules. So we don't want you to be subject to the government's plan. It can be very generic, and it almost is never tailored to your particular needs or desires. Let me tell you what we're going to cover in this series. Over the course of this series, we're going to walk through the estate planning at each stage of life. We're going to talk about when you're parents with minor children, when you're college students, when you guys are young professionals, when you're a married couple, if you wind up having a blended family, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have real estate investments, or that's one of your things, being a real estate investor, if you are ready to start pre-retirement planning and getting things lined up, getting ready for the actual retirement. What are you going to be doing during your retirement years? And long-term care planning. What if you wind up needing extra care that hasn't been contemplated or you're not thinking of right now when you're 25? Now, because estate planning needs for a 25-year-old or even a college student are different from a 50-year-old business owner, we want to talk about these different situations. Now, my goal in this series is pretty simple and straightforward. I want you to understand what planning matters at each stage of life. There are different keys that we need to focus on depending on where you are in your lifetime. So you want to make sure that you can make the informed decision that is going to be best for you and for your family. So I'm looking forward to talking with you more about these different plans and different options throughout your life. Now, if you find this information useful, I encourage you to follow the podcast, click the like, click the follow, click the subscribe, so that way you don't miss any future episodes. And if you'd like to go deeper on these topics, I also have a webinar that's called Bulletproof Your Legacy, where we walk through strategies for families to protect their assets and to avoid probate. Now, if you want something that is more involved, we have weekly we have monthly webinars that we do live that are in on asset protection and on estate planning. So if you want, I'm going to go ahead and put the links to those in the information below. And that way, if you're interested, you can sign up for one of those webinars and go for a deep dive. Until then, I'll see you in episode 2.